Check, check, check. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Flames recap on the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks, and subscribe wherever you get your audio. Not a good night for the Calgary Flames. They lose 5-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. This one was, if this was a boxing match, this was over. We're very early in the first round, unfortunately. And so let's get to it. Another night where Dustin Wolf allowed a goal on the first shot on goal. And this time it was Brandon Hagel. If you remember on Vancouver, the game against Vancouver, this also happened. Wolf allowed a goal on the first shot with Philip Roenick. But Wolf wasn't stopping there. He then allowed a second goal. So Brandon Hagel gets his 12th from Cirelli and Kucherov at 39 seconds. And then Charlie Edward the Stew gets his second from Nick Pohl and Jake Gensel. It's 2-0 and not even 90 seconds into the game. And then Zygmunt Girgensons, who will be playing for Latvia in the Olympics, from Yanni Gord and Pontus Holmberg, makes it 3-0. And that's Dustin Wolf's night. He lasts 5 minutes and 52 seconds. This is his shortest outing, probably his career. And not a great start from Dustin Wolf, no question about it. It was that I don't think Dustin Wolf was happy with any of the goals that were allowed. I mean, Hagel's shot was a picker in the corner for sure. But the other two were not great goals. He just didn't seem to be on his game. And unfortunately, he was pulled. And the Flames are behind. Devin Cooley comes in. And Declan Carlisle gets his first ever National Hockey League goal from Steven Santini and Jake Gensel. And 10:01 in, the Lightning are up 4-0. That's pretty much the game. But the Flames actually had some opportunities to at least make a dent into this lead. But Wolf will be the headline of this. But the power play will be another story of this game. There's 3 straight penalties from the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second half of the first period. Emil Lilleberg for holding, J.J. Moser for hooking, Emil Lilleberg for delay again. The Flames' power play was absolutely discombobulated in all shapes or forms and couldn't get anything going. So they headed to the second period 4-0. Now, they do take a penalty early in the second period, Rasmus Andersson for interference, but Nikita Kucherov gets a 4-minute high-sticking penalty, and Joel Farabee has to rush to the dressing room. And so it turns out to be a 4-on-4 with the Flames getting 3 minutes of power play time. And that was Chris Berman's fastest 3 minutes. Not a lot happened on that power play either. And then Braden Pahal takes a 2-minute for hooking penalty. And then he gets out of the box. The Flames killed that off. Pahal comes in, almost gets an opportunity. There's another penalty for slashing in there for Blake Coleman. And Devin Cooley was actually quite sharp in the second period. It could have been way worse, believe me. He made some great saves in that second period, held his own, and the Flames come out of that still 4-0, where it could have been a little bit worse. And then the third period was pretty much the Lightning knew the game was over, and the Flames had a lot of shots. They did get a goal. Joel Farabee does get a goal, and that is his 6th of the year from Beecher and Kuznetsov. And this was shorthanded. Beecher's first point as a Flame, and it's 4-1. But Brandon Hagel and Nikita Kucherov, again, what a pass to Kucherov, what a shot, just world class. 11th for Kucherov, and the Lightning come away with the 5-1 win. Shots on goal in this game were the Flames 33, but really it was 19 in the third period, 23 by the Lightning. The Flames hit a lot, 25-13. They lost in the faceoff circle, 28-23. Their power play was not very good. Their penalty killing wasn't to gets a shorthanded goal, so that was probably one of the strengths of the night. 16 giveaways to Tampa was 15, and block shots 16-15. 3 stars in the game. Vasilevsky was number 1, Brandon Hagel number 2, Daniel Carlisle was number 3. I won't talk about Tampa in a moment. We'll focusing on the Flames in this one, and not a lot of great performances tonight. I think the one that you can say again is Devin Cooley was sharp again coming in, and I would think he gets the start in Florida. I know that there's some people out there concerned about Dustin Wolf. I just think that this is an adjustment to becoming a number 1 goalie in the National Hockey League. I think that I keep thinking for Dustin Wolf, he thinks that he has to win every game 1-0. If the Flames had more offensive firepower in their roster, I think it would be easier for Dustin Wolf to play goal. But I think he thinks he has to make every single save. And I think he's just learning. So I'm not completely worried about Dustin Wolf. Has it been a good year for Dustin Wolf, or a good start? No, and I don't think anybody is saying that. But it's adversity, and I think Dustin Wolf will learn from it. I am not worried about Dustin Wolf. But the Flames, again, the power play is specifically, I didn't think Tampa Bay was incredibly sharp tonight. I think if this was a better team, I think that there's an argument that the Lightning might have lost this game. They take those 3 penalties in the second half of the first period. They took their foot right off that gas pedal in the third period for sure. I think a better team beats the Tampa Bay Lightning, but the Flames are not that good of a team right now, as we all know. So, Farabee, I thought, was probably the Flames' best forward. I do think Frost and Coronado continue to make efforts of chemistry. Coronado has six shots on goal. Farabee 6 shots. Kadri had 5. Kadri was making an effort. Adam Klapka was trying, I guess. Jan Kuznetsov played 20 minutes, and I believe that was the second most of anybody. We check Uyghur, third most of anybody on the ice. Jan Uyghur and Anderson. So he continues to impress and play solidly. But not a lot really coming from the Flames for this one, and it's not a good night. Those nights happen. They end their 3-game winning streak. They get back to Florida. Quickly talking about Tampa. As I said, I didn't think they were incredibly sharp tonight overall. I thought, first of all, Nikita Kucherov, I don't think people talk about Nikita Kucherov enough. I'm sorry. He is the best winger in the National Hockey League. And I think it's actually by a fairly good amount. He is a world-class player. He is probably a top 5 forward. And he's won Art Ross trophies. And he still doesn't get the respect that he deserves in the National Hockey League. He's just a great player. And I enjoy watching him. He has his own office. He has a shot. He has a great pass, smart shooter. Guy that you probably, if he was on your team, you would love. He plays that hero role. Yeah, I love Nikita Kucherov. He can be on my team anytime. Andre Vasilevsky is still a very solid goalie. There's a lot of new names that you see on this Tampa Bay scoreboard. Of course, they do have some injuries. No Hedman, no Point. But you're seeing some new players and new faces coming in. JJ Moser, I thought, was pretty solid tonight. You had Douglas, Dassus, Carlisle, Holmberg, James, Lilleberg, like a bunch of new players on this team. Leading ice time, by the way, was Darren Radish with 22 minutes and 18 seconds. So, and he had 3 blocks. So, yeah, new Tampa team, a lot of new faces on this Tampa team, but they come away with the solid 5-1 win. With the win, Lightning go to 14-7-2. They will play next. Their next game is against Detroit, And if the Flames play drop to 8, the Flames with their loss can drop down to 8, 14, and 3, and they will play on Florida on Friday afternoon. Tampa, by the way, plays Detroit as a podcasting here. Tampa's next game against Detroit is on Friday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time in Detroit. The other bit of news that came out tonight was, according to Elliot Friedman, the Calgary Flames are closing in on an extension with general manager Craig Conroy. And I'm just looking on social media here to see if that's been officially confirmed while we're doing the podcast here. And they're just still making a progress. So according to Friedman, hearing tonight that the Calgary Flames and GM Craig Conroy are making progress on a contract extension. Been a lot of conversation about this locally the last few days. Not sure when it will be finalized, but we are headed to that conclusion. So it looks like Craig Conroy will be sticking around with the Calgary Flames for a little while. And I think that's good. I think that Craig Conroy, I think a lot of people feel trustworthy about Craig Conroy. He brings a certain amount of youth insight. And I think he's a person that I think people can trust. I think he's got a trustworthy voice, a trustworthy perspective. I think he's done very well on the trade market. I think the drafts under him have been much better. That he's been put in he was put in a bind for Brad Treliving right for the start with all the free agents that he had to sign. And I don't think that, I mean, I guess the question that was going to come out of all of this is the Don Maloney interviews turned out to be an absolute disaster. And I think so much of a disaster is like, if you hear the Flames talk call-in show, you hear the texts, you hear all of the things that are going on in Calgary, even the people that are a bit more calmer about Calgary are just angry and upset. Like, there's just a lot of anger towards this Calgary Flames image right now. Don Maloney did himself no favors in how this was handled in doing this interview. And even the questions about why they did the interview. Why would Maloney do this? A couple of people pointed out on social media that he wanted to kind of step back in 2000, or when they were hiring Conroy. He wanted to step back and just kind of be in the background. So there's really no need for Don Maloney to come up front. And I just think he made things a lot worse. So now we're faced with the question of whose vision. Is there a different vision between Maloney and Conroy? Are they on the same page? And what will this team look like going forward? And I guess Conroy's going to have to answer some of those questions. We'll see what goes on that front. And we'll have more on that. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Flames on our next podcast. And we'll go through that. But that's what's going on with the Calgary Flames. So again, they do lose to the Lightning 5-1. Follow us on Twitter, Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio. Thank you for watching and listening, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.